welcome another Square and Compass live stream. Huge shout out to We Tech here in Windsor. Held a very awesome event at Caesars Windsor. It's We Tech Alliance. They're located on Ferry Street. They held an event here in Windsor. It was incredible to see. Um, I was very happy to be able to check it out. Congratulations to everybody who is all of the entrepreneurs with the tech-based businesses working very hard. It was cool stuff to see. You're going to learn more about it. Some of them may actually be at our March 28th Community Services Fair, which you can check out if you're in Windsor or in Essex. Follow my social media. You're going to see that very soon. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for being here. Scale Up Accelerator. Honestly, I've talked about this before, vegan for the animals. Thank you for the four-leaf clover. I'm a big believer that we in Freemasonry need to pay more attention to what we are producing for our meals and take into account all sorts of dietary restrictions. That includes dietary restrictions or dietary preferences. So are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Do you have allergies? Do you have religious limitations on what you can or cannot eat? All of that stuff we as Freemasons should be taking into account. I continue to keep track of the price of oil or price of gas. Price of gas, national average is $3.88 per CNN, which is an increase of 90 cents since February 28th, 2026. It depends on the lodge. It depends on the worshipful, on the junior warden. He's the one responsible for the food. Every lodge has their own junior warden. Every lodge decides kind of for themselves. Honestly, though, I rarely see vegan options in my travels. Usually there'll be a vegan side, like there'll be salad. Very often there'll be vegetable trays, things like that. But very rarely do I see vegan options as a main course. Part of the problem is they tend to be more expensive and a little bit harder to prepare in advance. It's really easy to create like in advance a chili or whatever it is. So, but it's worth exploring how we can be better. Again, I don't think we need to be exclusively vegan. I don't believe in that, but I do believe there may be vegan Masons, and it's worth making sure that they get a main course. Wisconsin, the average price of gas, I took a walk on purpose, $3.75 a gallon. One guy told me from Texas gas was, well, I mean, I think Texas produces a lot of gas, right? Produces a lot of oil. I think Texas has a pretty significant oil production capacity, so maybe they're not as reliant on, maybe they're not going to be affected by it as much as everybody else, or who knows? I can't speak to different regions that well. I just know that the national average is the fact it's going up. And what that tells me, again, at what point does gas prices go up sufficiently that it starts to affect the extent to which people are able and interested to take part in Freemasonry, to attend Masonic meetings, attend Masonic events, pay their Masonic dues. I got a big forehead. Please hit like and subscribe despite my big forehead. I've grown to accept the fact I have a big forehead. What can I say? Doesn't shock me. I'm just creating a poll question right now. If I could find the thing. There it is. Let me just see. 3 to 5. There we go. Start that poll question. See what people say. No, Freemasons do not control the world, and we do not eat humans. So you're wrong on both counts. Hello, Timu. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I would love to visit Finland one day. It'd be wonderful. It's been a while, vegan. I'm so focused on my channel. What can I say? Um, I don't think the whites of my eyes look yellow, but all right. Actually, I have been getting checked by doctors. I had a couple tests done. It was great. All signs came back positive, so that's a good sign. What are Masonic dues? Masonic dues are how much you pay to be a Freemason. Masonic lodges are self-funded. So, for example, there are some dues that are as little as $25 per year, some as much as $250 per year. And when I say dues, I should refer to it more like costs in general. It's not just the cost of the dues per year. It could be the cost of, for example, driving to a Masonic meeting. If your meeting's half an hour away, that's a lot of gas money to spend to go to and from a meeting, right? Because that's an hour drive. Did he? I did not hear that. Let me check. I'm curious now. I see no evidence that he did. It's actually not been a while. It's been about 2 months since I got my blood work done. Everything came back looking good, so all right, posting that as well. I will take that. Marlon Brando is a very handsome fella. Um, Yo, how was the casino? It was awesome. We Tech was a very great function. Congratulations to all of the entrepreneurs. Just the fact that they're out there trying to promote their product, trying to promote their services, trying to promote their business, nothing but respect. It was really great to see, and it was a lot of fun. I had a great time there. I got a lot of cool stuff as well. I got some cookies even. That was really cool. Got some pens. I got this really cool fridge magnet. Talking about transit apps, which I think is awesome. So a lot of really cool stuff. I'm going to be showing off more of it and showing off the social media and showing off on social media the pictures from the event. I also invited some of the groups there to the March 28th um, community services fair. Once again, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Um, I'm worried about both, but here in Windsor, I'm worried about, and not just Windsor, but North America, I'm worried about the extent to which the gas price increase will affect the ability of Masons to take part in Masonic activities. In general, I don't think that's the most important thing. I think the most important thing is, as much as possible, we no longer have a loss of life. But I'm not going to pretend like gas prices don't matter or that general economic conditions don't significantly affect our ability within Freemasonry to contribute to Masonic lodges or to attend Masonic events. Even to the extent of if gas prices become high enough, are people going to prioritize going to work over going to a Masonic lodge meeting? Will they be more likely to take overtime? More likely to have two-income households? Things like that. It is incredibly hard. So I agree with that 100%. But if you have a dream, you dream big and you do your best. No, I'm asking Jen with many N's. And this doesn't have to be Masonic per se. This could almost be anything that's not necessary. At what point do gas prices become so high you would not be willing to spend money on, for lack of a better term, luxury items such as Masonic Lodge membership? It could be a gym membership. It could be club dues. It could be driving to and from Masonic events. Basically, at what point do gas prices become significantly high or high enough? At what point that you decide Freemasonry is a luxury you can no longer afford? And when I say that, I don't simply mean the dues. I also mean, for example, the cost of travel to and from, not going to work to go to Masonic Lodge meeting, things like that. So they are in some Masonic temple, beer blades. That's a good thing to keep in mind. They're not in every Masonic temple. They symbolize usually the duality between good and evil, and the idea of trying to make sure we are traveling on the path of good. Many times it's also called a mosaic pavement, which is an emulation ritual. So, and by the way, I'm asking this poll question on my YouTube, on my X as well. Please follow me there. I'd be much obliged. Good evening, Jesse from Essex, England. How is it going? Thank you for being here. By the way, also want to note, travel-wise, we are still having struggles with travel. The Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, the security line has reached over 90 minutes as of Thursday morning. We are still dealing with a Department of Homeland Security partial shutdown, which means, amongst other things, longer wait times at many airports. So be prepared for that. Office politics is always challenging. You don't want to get yourself too wrapped up in it. Kind of keep your head down. And just, you'll make it through is usually good advice for whatever it's worth. Oh, that's a great thing, Lifeline. I know some people here who have it. I think you may have something similar to it. There's a lot of different services like that. Whatever one you use, it's good to have something. Um, Careful how hard you flex, but I wish you best of luck. Sometimes things can end up going, sometimes things like that can end up backfiring on you, so just be careful. Brian says, so what? So what about what, Brian? So what is not a really good, strong response. Fair enough. Then I wish you best of luck in your flexing of muscles. You just better make sure that you're successful. Just keep flexing. It sounds like just keep going. Like the little engine that could. But internal office politics can be very challenging. It's one of the things I don't miss from back in the day in my day jobs, that's for sure. 11 votes. Interesting enough right now. What's interesting is people are saying no point, which I find fascinating. I thought for almost everybody would have a point at which gas prices became high enough. But $5 and up has 18% of the vote. 3 to 5 has 18%, and even 0 to 3 has 9%, which means even if gas prices are relatively low, they are too high for some people to afford Masonic expenses, which makes me think that shows an underlying economic issue. That is true. Sometimes you do have to make a stand. That is very true as well. Um, we're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I've taken stands in Freemasonry, so it's very fair to say that. Sometimes they've worked out well, sometimes not so well, but I do try my best. Um, that is true. They do say that. Um, they do say that. If you have enemies, you must be doing something right. I think that was a Winston Churchill quote, who himself was a Freemason. Um, in a side note. Absolutely, that is the case that they will. You have to pick your battles, but you also have to understand if something doesn't seem important at the time, that doesn't mean it won't later on spiral into a bigger and bigger thing. It's easy to let things go when they seem small. That's a tactic of a lot of con artists, right? They will start off by asking you for something small and something that in theory should be easy to acquire, and not a big deal. And you accept the disrespect, but then they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until sooner or later you end up giving away far more than you wanted to. You see that in the scary movies, See or Speak No Evil, right? Where the villains, they're always pushing boundaries and pushing boundaries, but because the antagonists or the protagonists are kind of nice people, they never really push back against them. And then the rest is history. Well, you make that stand for brotherly love, and I wish you the best of luck in your stand. I hope it is successful for you. But the key thing is knowing what is starting small and going to end big, and what is worth the fight, right? That is probably the biggest challenge, I think. And that's true for Freemasonry as well. If there's something you want to see in Freemasonry, you have to decide how much you're willing to sacrifice to get that thing, how much you're willing to fight for that thing. Is there a point at which the cost is too great? So much of my life within Freemasonry has been that balancing act. Hello, Sam Churio. Thank you for being here. The Jews are God's chosen people. Never forget. Why Israel? I mean, welcome. I would like to think we can all be the chosen people of the Supreme Being. Having said that, I understand different people have different religious beliefs. Still great to have you here. I'm proud to be a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel, Lodge of the Holy Line number 50. So. And how much is the fight, right? Every hour you spend fighting for some type of solution on one particular issue is an hour that you cannot spend on something else. So that's the issue as well, right? Yes, some hinge are worth taking away from, and other things are worth standing your ground and articulating your idea or points respectfully. Hello, Jason Shank. Thank you for being here also. Please take a moment. Hit that like button if you've not done so. How's it going? If you guys answered any of these questions or the poll question, let me know how you answered it and why you answered it the way you did. Hello, Brotherhood Mason. Thank you for being here as well. I hope that you're doing well also. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. March 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to start a live streaming marathon. I'm going to try to go for as long as I can, maybe 24 hours. We'll see. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by watching or doing a watch along of The Long Walk. It's a movie from last year that I really liked. I think it's got a Masonic connection, a very good and very cool Masonic connection. I'm going to talk about what that connection is, why I think it's valuable for Freemasons, the lessons therein or the connections therein. And we'll start that 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there you go. High gas prices will continue the trend of inflation. I mean, that's a good point. Really, what I should have said, Jason, is not dues. I should have just said expensive or expenses, excuse me. Because, for example, yes, there's dues, but there's also the cost of travel to and from your Masonic Lodge meetings. If you live half an hour away, that's half an hour drive. That ain't cheap necessarily. Or it could be paying for tickets. Really, at what point do you start to consider Freemasonry a luxury and one that you're willing to push aside in order to, let's say, take on more overtime, save money, spend money on food, whatever it might be? I hope everybody, though, is doing well. As always, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. A couple of things to talk about after the first 60 minutes. March 18th was actually Founders Day for DMOLA. And a side note, we're going to talk about that a little bit, which is something I want to discuss. 33rd here, brother from Kentucky. Welcome. It's great to have a 33rd degree Mason. You guys come up all the time in this chat because for some reason, every conspiracy theorist in the world is obsessed with a 33rd degree and thinks it's some type of mystical, magical degree. It drives me crazy. But welcome. It's great to have you, Brotherhood Mason. I've been to Kentucky a few times. Lexington, Louisville, beautiful place, beautiful Masons. It's an awesome spot to be. Not the other degrees, just the 33rd. Yes, it drives me crazy. So be prepared. You may get some conspiracy theorists on. Although what I've found, for the record, is usually the conspiracy theorists show up during the third degree. During the 1 a.m. 1 a.m. streams. That's when we find them. Not so much during the afternoon streams. So conspiracy theorists must be night owls. All right, Amy Israel, you keep on saying the same thing over and over again. It's getting a bit much. I don't mind people being on the stream expressing opinions, but when you express the same opinions over and over again, it gets kind of annoying. So maybe some new statements would be helpful. It's the kind of forehead that has a big brain in it. So there you go. I don't know if you know this, Brotherhood Mason, but yesterday, March 18th, was Founders Day for DMOLA, which is a wonderful Masonic youth group. I believe they're actually doing very well in Kentucky, if I recall correctly. Smokey, good to see you. Looking forward to our 29th of March stream. We're going to see if we can get some more people involved in it as well. Kiki, every Mason is great, including a 33rd degree Mason. Absolutely, Dad is correct. People need to remember the 33rd degree is an honorary degree, but it's not the highest degree. The highest degree is the third degree. There you go, Brotherhood Mason. And Brotherhood Mason is correct. By the way, like I said, I love Freemasonry in Kentucky. I've been lucky enough to visit Kentucky a few times. Lexington, it's a really cool spot, really great people, and really great Masons as well. So yeah, unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, our, shall we say, conspiracy theory people are not declining in numbers and are not declining in membership, unfortunately. So, are not declining in their conspiracy theories, that's for sure. I don't know if there's any official membership for conspiracy theorists, but they're growing, and as they grow, the 33rds tend to get the brunt of it. No, we don't bow down to Satan. We got one of them on right now. Kiki, Freemasonry do not bow down to Satan. Freemasonry is not a religion, right? So we don't worship or bow down to kind of theological figures. Who wins the Iran war? Do you think war light? I mean, I don't think you can think about this war in terms of winning or losing because it's got complicated, right? For Iran, I think winning equates with just survival more so than anything else, which does give them a certain type of edge. It depends how you define victory, right? And what you're looking for and what you're looking to get. I think I don't think anybody's going to win this war. And my heart aches for any loss of life. My heart also aches for those Masons who are in the region. There's Masonic lodges in Jordan, there's Masonic lodges in Tel Aviv and Israel, there's Masonic lodges in Lebanon as well. Some of them recognized, some not recognized. There's Masonic lodges on military bases throughout the Middle East. And there's also Grand Lodge of Iran in exile in Los Angeles. Masonic members are service members as well, fighting in the military. Um, and so, obviously, I don't care if you're a Mason or not. I want you to be safe. But I do think about the Masons who are in harm's way and wish them nothing but the best and safety. I do not consider Masonry a secret society. I consider it a club which has private elements to it, but many clubs do, right? It's not a secret society because here I am talking about it on stream right now. So, how could it be a secret society? I think, and a lot of people will say it's not a secret society, it's a society with secrets. I'm not a big fan of that term either. It's a little bit too, I don't know, I just don't like that phrase. I don't think it explains it well. Family recipe, yeah, that's the analogy I've used a million times, and I think it's a good one. I think it works. I think it makes sense. Um, Brotherhood Mason. As somebody from Northern Kentucky, I don't know what gas prices are like for you. What do you think of the poll question? Are you worried that it's not gas per se, but as things get more expensive, including gas, Masons will start to feel a pinch and may consider Masonic dues or the cost of travel to Masonic meetings or Masonic banquet tickets? Would you start to consider that to be a luxury that they can't afford? I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but let me know. Because 21 votes right now, it's interesting. We are at 53% is still at no point with 19 votes. So more people are saying there's no point at which gas prices become high enough. One vote looks like 0 to 3, 3 to 5 is 19, 5 and up is 24%. So let's assume that that 24% is representative of Freemasonry as a whole, which I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but that would mean 24% of the membership would find a point at which gas prices could become high enough that Masonic dues become a luxury. Um, well, Dad, that's very good of you. That's very nice of you. You're a better man than I, keeping your house clean for the house cleaning lady. Good for you. It's a good Masonic thing to do. Kiki, well, where do you get your information from, out of curiosity? Why do you think that Freemasonry is satanic? Obviously, you're incorrect, but from whence does your information come? And hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Consider one of those gifts, consider a super chat. All that stuff would help out. Hello, Rise with Raju. That sounds like a YouTube channel name. Well, I mean, I include every Mason. If you are a Shriner or if you are Memphis Mizraim, you're a Mason. And so, of course, I mean, I wish nothing but safety for you. I will say, Memphis Mizraim is actually not recognized in North America, but in it is recognized in many parts of Europe. But yeah, I mean, when I say if you're a Mason, that would include if you're a Shriner, if you're York Rite, Scottish Rite, Memphis Mizraim, if you're D Malay, if you're Eastern Star, heck, for that matter, if you're part of a clandestine lodge, I'm still going to consider you a brother if you're over there fighting for for the country and for your freedom, or for our freedom, whatever you think of the war. It's not, you can't pin it on the soldiers who are following. They're not creating the foreign policy, right? And so nothing but respect to all of them, and I hope they all come home safely. This is definitely bigger than inter-Masonic jurisdictional battles. Um, I'm a student, sir. I mean, it's tough for me to say when you say advice. What type of advice are you looking for? This channel is meant to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as to provide stories of Masonic interest. So, it's one of those things where it's tough for me to necessarily say, um, I need to know more about kind of the challenges that you're facing before I could say what advice I have to give to you. I mean, I would ask you to hit the like button and the subscribe button, but that helps me more than you. What are you taking in school? And do you want to be a YouTuber? Like, what's your goal with being here? Um, Out of curiosity. And Rise with Raju. We're just going to keep hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I will be back on at 1 a.m. It's funny, those 1 a.m. streams, I get way more people than the 1 p.m. streams. Clearly, my audience is a bunch of night owls. You guys are better than me. I do not keep my house clean. That's probably one of my biggest challenges. I wish I kept my house more clean, but I'm too lazy. Memphis Mizraim, it's called the Oriental Rites, Dad. It's out of, I mean, it does exist in North America as well, I believe, but it's not recognized here. It is recognized as a Masonic body throughout much of Europe, in Russia, I believe even in Asia. Um, I have handsome blood in my DNA. Please hit like and subscribe, Google Chrome. Hello, Kendall. I don't tell people that, Beer Blades. You got to join to find out. I choose to keep that a secret. So I guess you'll have to find out by joining. But you can find it online as well, to be honest. It's just not something I talk about. I like to keep, every Mason kind of sets their own rules as what they think should and should not be considered private, but I always keep that one private. Kenneth, how's it going? Did you vote on my poll question? And if so, how did you vote? What did you say? I'd be really curious to know. I mean, again, a lot of people will say what the G stands for. It's not a huge deal. It's something I don't say. So, Kenneth, did you answer the poll question as well? So you went with always. Okay. Like right now, it is 22% $5 and up, 22% 3 to 5. That's basically 50% of the chat saying that if dues are above $3 per gallon, or sorry, if gasoline is above $3 per gallon, they are going to start reconsidering their Masonic dues, or they'll start considering Freemasonry a luxury. And you ought to also keep in mind, at what point do you have brethren who are part of multiple lodges? They may end up not remaining active in one lodge, right? Or not pay their dues in one lodge. Everything is well, SMH. Thank you for being here. I appreciate the quick hello. You can also share this stream on your social media channels. It's an honor to pay to begin with. Well, that is a very good attitude to take. I don't think most people would consider it an honor to pay for anything, but that's a healthy attitude to have about Freemasonry. Zero doubt about that. And I hope that you are doing well. Yeah, most Masons don't. Most Masons do not. And I don't really care if Masons say it. It's just not something I say. I think it's more fun to learn as you go. Um, but it probably is pretty common knowledge. We're going to just keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. To all the Demo Lay brethren out there, yesterday, happy Founders Day. Demo Lay is a wonderful part of the Masonic Order, a wonderful youth group. And I think we within Freemasonry should spend more time kind of celebrating our youth groups, both Demo Lay and Rainbow. That is an issue, and that's not simply a Masonic issue by any means. That is a worldwide issue at this point. There is a lot of foolishness on the internet. And that does encourage you to say, on the one hand, you want to give out more information because you don't want the foolishness to take over. You'd rather just give the correct information yourself rather than allow for foolishness to kind of thrive. But I think, if people are inclined to believe the foolishness, no matter what you say, they're going to continue to believe it. That kind of puts Freemasons in an awkward spot because the temptation is, well, if they're going to, if somebody's saying a bunch of nonsense, we should respond with specifics, including revealing the secrets as a way to fight back. But in my experience, people who believe the nonsense will believe it no matter what you say. So what ends up happening is you reveal the secrets of Freemasonry, you reveal the family recipe, and you get no benefit from it. Well, you can say what the G means to you. I wouldn't be offended by it. I wouldn't either confirm nor deny how close you are to it, but I would not, be offended if you say what the G means to you. Thank you, Kenneth. Don't forget, if you want to support this channel, aside from liking and subscribing, you can also hit the like button. You can also do a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time. You can also give the gift. It's no different than you can talk about what the recipe is without the specific ingredients, right? So if you have a family recipe, you can say, like, I don't know, the family recipe is bakes cookies, and that's fine. What you shouldn't do, though, is explain or say the ingredients within the recipe is a good way to think about it, right? You can share the recipe, you can share the results of the recipe, just not the recipe itself. And we're going to wait to see who else joins. Jump in the chat, say hello, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Thank you, Poke Dreamlab, and thank you for being here as always. We're at 23 votes. I am keeping track of gas prices this morning. They are up 90 cents from February 28th, which is crazy to think they've been going up. I would not be shocked if they went up over $1 since February 28th. So we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. That's true. And also, it's more fair to initiate because the biggest thing that people forget when it comes to Freemasonry is that not every Masonic ritual is the same. So even though there are commonalities, there are jurisdictional differences, right? And one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a initiate is if you're researching Masonic rituals, and you end up researching a ritual from a different jurisdiction, you will end up not enjoying your Masonic ritual because you'll be expecting certain things to happen, right? You'll have certain expectations that won't be met. Um, Freemasonry ultimately it's an experiential journey. It's an experiential organization. It's very similar to riding a bicycle or cooking. You can spend all your time reading on how to ride a bicycle and reading about the history of bicycles and the mechanics of a bicycle. Ultimately, what matters most, though, is none of that. What matters most is actually getting on the bike and riding it. That's when you truly learn what Freemasonry or what riding a bicycle is all about. With Freemasonry, it's exactly the same thing. Um, the G is frequent. Most square and compasses have the G in the middle. Not all, right? Not every G, for the record, has on it not every square and compass has the G in it, but the vast majority of them do. And so it's worth keeping that in mind. Just grabbing myself some water. And I'm back. I've seen some that has the sun in the center. Embracing the process is always a good idea. I think one of the biggest mistakes we can make is not embracing the process of being a Freemason or embracing the journey. So often when people join Freemasonry, what they imagine is they just want to get to the third degree. They just want to become a worshipful master. They just want to, quote unquote, learn the secrets. And they end up never really enjoying the process, or they never really enjoy what they've been through because they feel like they're always trying to get to the next thing. You have to enjoy the process of it, not just the final destination, if there even is a final destination. And I was a member of the child amputee program and grateful to be a member of the child amputee program. I'm seeing a lot of their advertisements lately online, which is great to see. If you want to support a very worthwhile cause, support the child amputee program. Some Masonic rituals are more theatrical than others. There's definitely, though, a theatrical component to it. They do have lines, they do have things you have to say, and generally speaking, you're expected to memorize them. It makes it a better experience for the applicant to actually have his ritual kind of performed or recited to him as opposed to read, which can be a less impactful experience. In in the States, they tend to be more theatrical with it, especially in press and web. There's very often and more often costumes, things like that. In emulation ritual, especially here in Ontario, it's more recited to the candidate. Oh, the child amputee program? If you're from Canada, they have their key tag program, but if you type in let me see if I can remember the website now. Waramps.ca, you'll be able to find the information of it. It's the waramps.ca, and then you can search for the child amputee program. So and it's an excellent Canadian program, an excellent Canadian charity. Really cool history as well. I think it's been around, I think it's a 50-year anniversary of it this year. Beer Blades, you are welcome. Thank you for being here. As always, I hope you're doing well. Oh, we got some construction happening above me. That's all right. So once we get once we're done the first 60 minutes, I'm going to start talking about DMLA because yesterday was Founders Day. Yesterday was the anniversary of the founding of DMLA, which was founded on March 18th. And that is kind of going to be the main topic of the day. Interestingly enough, about 40%, 38% are now saying gas prices between $3 and up, or $3 and up, would become too expensive for paying Masonic dues, basically saying at that point Freemasonry would be more of a luxury good and something they would not be willing to pay for because they're saving for other things. We're just going to hang out, wait to see who joins. Once again, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Consider one of the gifts, Lucky Clover. Let me know how you guys are doing. I hope you guys will join me on March 21st for our 24-hour stream. Support me on social media, etc., etc. Thank you to WeTech for an awesome event at the casino. I got some really cool stuff. I got this very awesome and very big transit rewards magnet. I've talked a lot about the value of public transit. I could not travel as much as I do. I cannot travel the way I travel were it not for public transit, which helps me save money and travel relatively inexpensively. I've also got some Hello chocolate cookies. Who doesn't love cookies? I got a couple of those. We also got, not to make anybody jealous, transitrewards.ca, another cookie once again. I'm killing the cookies over here. Some really cool 3D printed items. We got a little star. Where's my tiny hat? Is this count as a tiny hat, or do you mean my fez? I'm not a Shriner. The fez is specific to Shriners. I did see the unfortunate incident. I can't speak to it because I don't know much about it, but all I'm hoping is everybody's okay because it's a real shame. And so, you know, you want everybody to be safe in the ring, and that includes referees. We sometimes forget that everybody who steps in a wrestling ring is placing themselves at risk, whether it is transrewards.ca, whether it is the referee, the wrestlers themselves, and you know what, for that matter, there's a lot of people who are involved in putting on a show that take on risks, like setting up those wrestling rings. That's a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of equipment you're using. It's possible that things could go wrong there. Things fall, people get hurt. There's the driving from town to town for the crew. I mean, it's one of those things where everybody is dealing with it. Everybody could be struggling with it in a different ways, and everybody is doing their best to put on a good show. So you want to remember there's risks in all of it, and that includes to the referees. That is right. I got these cool WeTech beaver stickers, which I think are awesome. I've got a pen, which is really cool. And I've got some more stickers and some candy. So I am rocking it out. It's always good to get the free stuff. Yeah, no, referees, I mean, in a lot of ways, they are absolutely the unsung heroes of professional wrestling. It's a three-person dance. The referee's a big part of it. You need somebody to count to three. So obviously, all of our thoughts are with the professional wrestling referee, and we hope that he's okay. Last I heard, he's recovering in hospital. I don't know, that's the last I heard, so I can't speak to his current status as of March 19th. Oh, we got a police officer. Hope everybody's okay. I mean, I think it's true. I mean, in some ways, there's a Masonic connection there as well, in that we very often forget about the people who actually make a lodge function. In the same way, we very often, we very often forget about those Masons. They show up early to unlock the lodge doors. They clean the lodge. They vacuum. We very often forget about how important they are as well to the lodge. So, keep everybody in mind. Apparently we do. In Canada, hey, us Canadians, we're not as peaceful as we are appear to be, right? Everybody always says the stereotype of Canada is super polite and friendly, which I like to think we are, but who knows? Maybe sometimes we can be not so much. Um, we're tougher than we look. And Dad is not wrong. These things can absolutely be cyclical. And maybe we just have more information about it now. Having said that, I would also hope we are not going to see ourselves in a dirty 30s style cycle, because when I talk about these things and why it's so important to keep these things in mind, like the economic conditions of our communities, the 30s saw a massive decline in Masonic membership, a massive decline in Masonic relevance, a massive decline in our buildings. And it's one of those things where, when we think about it, um, we were lucky in some ways within Freemasonry that we had the 1950s. And the 1950s, we were able to recover the losses we had in Freemasonry and actually see Freemasonry grow once again. But they've been on a steady decline, our membership numbers, since 1959. I worry about the extent to which we within Freemasonry can expect to bounce back if our numbers continue dropping. This is my real job. Eric, please hit like and subscribe and consider a super chat. That would be very helpful. When you say Masonry is a dying craft, I don't know if you're referring to Freemasonry or speculative Masonry. Freemasonry is on the decline in North America, but that doesn't mean it will continue to be so. If we work hard enough, maybe we can grow it and see what we can do. In terms of Masonry, like operative Masonry, I wouldn't describe it as a dying craft. I believe Masonry is probably continuing. I would say the trades in general, whether it be stonemasonry, carpentry, plumbing, electricians, they're actually doing pretty well, it seems like, or are pretty important. So I would suggest a lot of people look into them. And if you're good at it, if you're good at masonry, if you're good at stonemasonry, if you're good at a professional trade, you can make some good bank at it. So keep those things in mind. But if you're talking about Freemasonry, it's definitely struggling in North America. Whether it's dying or not, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I'd use that term. But it is struggling without question. Or Eric, what do you mean by Masonry is a dying craft? We're just going to give it a bit more time. We're just going to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here. And like I said, we're going to be starting on the stream, starting on the main subject shortly. I will be doing a 1 a.m. stream as well tonight. I mean, Rondo, I'm not sure if I would say that the handcraft of working with stone is on the decline. I mean, I think using old techniques, certainly it's on the decline, like one stone at a time. But in terms of factory settings and mass production of stonework, there's probably on the increase. But I know a couple stonemasons who make significant amounts of money as stonemasons doing masonry work, as operative masons. And even on social media right now, there is a pretty significant um, social media following for some stonemasons. That is true. That is true. But I would say, for example, Yorkshire Stonemason, I think is his name on Instagram. He's doing really well. At least in my experience, he's doing really well growing his channel and promoting, like working with stone on a like individual level, stone by stone, as opposed to mass producing it. Um, and like I said, I've known several masons who are doing several stonemasons who are significantly growing their craft. So I think it's coming back. I think the trades in general, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, all of them, I think, are absolutely on the increase, on the incline. Um, Grace and peace. Well, thank you, Damien. What comes along with Masonic dues? I think you mean Masonic dues. What is the intention of the group? So, Masonic dues, Freemasonry is a self-funded organization. So, paying your Masonic dues is what allows you to remain a member in the Masonic Lodge and in the Masonic organization. They can be as little as $25 per year to as much as $250 per year. They can even be higher. When I said Masonic dues, what I really should have said is Masonic expenses, because Masonic expenses are not simply the dues you pay to be a member. It's the cost of gas to travel to and from your Masonic meetings. It's the cost of, Masonic banquet tickets and special events. It's the lost wages of choosing, let's say, not to take overtime or not to take an extra shift, instead going to a Masonic meeting. So it's more the question of, it's not really dues exclusively, it's more the question of, is there a point at which gas or energy becomes so expensive that the focus becomes earning money, saving money, and Freemasonry is treated more like a luxury good? When you talk about the intentions of the group, every Mason will have his own intentions for the group. There is no singular intention. Some will say it's to make good men better. That tends to be a standard statement. To me, do we really need to think about it in terms of intentions, right? I mean, what is the intention of going out with your friends on a Friday night? I've said it before, in my opinion, the goal, the fundamental belief of Freemasonry is that it is worth spending time with other people, that is worth spending time with one another. I think that is kind of the best way to think about the goals of Freemasonry. It depends on the lodge, Nick Slice. Some Masons go out after lodge meetings. In fact, I know a Mason out of Dearborn, Michigan, and he really pushes going out to restaurants after every meeting as a way to support the local economy. Others, they will eat in the lodge. In my experience, my Masonic lodges, we have dinners in the lodge after the meeting. So it just depends. on the lodge and what they're willing to do. Eating out, though, or catering in, if you have the funds for it, can be a really excellent way to support your local community. Um, right? And a way to get the name of the lodge out. It creates, by far and away, in my experience, it creates a more relevant Masonic experience in the community. If you own a restaurant and you remember that time the Masons showed up and supported your lodge, or sorry, supported your restaurant and came out for refreshments, you're more likely to be supportive of Freemasonry as a general rule. I am really supportive right now of going to the washroom because I got to go to the washroom like crazy. I'll be back in one moment. This is my wonderful co-host. You can name it if you want. You can call him Mason the Moose. I'll be back in a moment. Nobody cause any trouble. All right, people. I'm back. Yes, it's a moose. We switched from the dog to the moose. All right, so we are 60 minutes in. So now I want to start talking about Demolay. Why? Because March 18th was Founders Day, and I did post this on my socials um, on Facebook and on, excuse me, my Twitter /X. I think what I'm going to do is read from the Demolay Canada page, demolaycanada.ca. Demolay's founding. The Order of Demolay has a proud heritage. It all began with Frank S. Land, whose life was so closely woven together with our history that there isn't enough room here to relate all the details. His biography, Hi Dad, paints a stirring portrait of this great man of vision. Dad Land, as he came to be called, founded the Order of Demolay in March of 1919 in Kansas City, Missouri. As a result of his association and friendship with young Louis Lower, Louis's father had died, leaving the young man without a father figure in his life. Frank Land, a compassionate, serious, up-and-coming community leader, took the time to listen to Louis, learn about his dreams, and help him. In the meantime, he learned that others like Louis sought companionship, leadership, inspiration, and competition. He thought about forming an organization to help young men and asked Louis to invite some friends to a meeting. Louis and 8 friends first met with Dad Land in the Kansas City Scottish Rite Temple. He was employed as the social service director. It was natural then for the group to identify itself in some way with the fraternity of Freemasonry, but the fledgling group needed its own identity and its own name. After relating the story of Jacques de Molay, the group decided to name itself for this historical figure connected with Freemasonry. The original group of 9 young men were Louis G. Lauer, Ivan Bentley, Edmund Marshall, Gorman McBride, Jerome Jacobson, William Steinhilber, Elmer Dorsey, Clyde Stream, and Ralph Sewell. As they made plans to form their new organization, he was asked, or Frank Land asked him to invite more friends to the next meeting. 31 young men came to the next meeting. To go from 8 at your first meeting to 31 at your second is very impressive. The Order of Demolay was founded in Kansas City, Missouri, by Frank Land with 9 young men. Winnipeg chapter made Demolay International. Go Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Free Press of December 13th, 1922, announced that the chapter was being organized under the sponsorship of Winnipeg Lodge of Perfection of the Scottish Rite. It was formed on February 24th, 1923, with 99 members, initiated by 22 members of Ivanhoe chapter of Grand Forks, who traveled by train from North Dakota for the ceremonies. The first master counselor was Russell Lester Wigington, who later spent his adult years in North Vancouver. Russ was a young man of many accomplishments, the first speaker of the Manitoba Boys' Parliament, an accomplished swimmer, basketball and rugby player, and a Boy Scout, decorated by Baron Byng for saving the life of a soldier at Winnipeg Beach. Achieving even greater fame was the chapter's first chaplain, the father of Medicare in Canada, former NDP leader Tommy Douglas. By the late 1950s, Demolay had spread to many other provinces across Canada, and the leaders of the organization desired more autonomy from the Supreme Council of Kansas City. In 1969, the Canadian and Grand Council was formed, and after passing a motion in 73, with a unanimous vote of the International Supreme Council, the Supreme Council of the Order of Demolay of Canada was officially permanently formed as the autonomous and sovereign body of Demolay in Canada. The work of the Supreme Council of the Order of Demolay of Canada was carried out by the Canadian Supreme Council from its founding until 2001 and has since restructured as Demolay Canada, a corporation under the Canada Not-for-Profit Act. So I did not know that Demolay formed in formed in Winnipeg, As someone who grew up in Winnipeg, I think that's awesome. Well, I mean, it's apocryphal, Rondo, right? So it's not that, it's kind of like ancient Egypt. It's not that the Templars became Freemasons. It's rather that you had at least in my opinion, you had the Templars, which existed from, I forget the years, 1150, something like that, to 1308. I'm getting the dates a little bit wrong, but in that time period, 12th century to 14th century, you had the Templars that existed. Then, approximately 400 years after the end of the Knights Templars, you had the formation of Freemasonry. And then when Freemasonry was looking at developing its rituals, its ceremonies, its traditions, it looked at a variety of different groups and organizations from history for iconography, for symbolism, for lessons. And they did, amongst other groups, they did fall upon the Knights Templars as one such possible group. The Knights Templars also had connections to stonemasonry in the idea of having forts made of stone throughout Europe. Andrew Raymond was the Mason who first claimed the connection between he used the term Crusaders, which came to mean Knights Templars, and Freemasons. But it's almost certainly apocryphal, meaning it's almost certainly the case that there was no literal connection. Rather, it was invented after the fact, in the same way There's no literal connection between speculative Freemasonry and ancient Egypt, but they provide a good source of iconography, stories, ethical lessons that can be applied to Freemasonry. Um, I can be convinced. I've never bought that. I mean, anything's possible, but I've never believed it. Again, the first time we ever hear of this connection came from a brother. He was a Scottish brother who lived in France, and he made a speech in 1737 claiming the connection, but I don't personally buy it at all. Um, 18th degree Scottish Rite. Right? We've talked before about who Jacques de Molay was. Again, the person from whom the de Molay order got its name. Jacques de Molay was the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, an order of knighthood founded during the Crusades that had attained extensive power and wealth. According to Britannica, he failed to exercise effective leadership at the time of the suppression of the order by King Philip IV of France and Pope Clement V. He entered the order in 1265, fought in Syria, and after 1291 he was in Cyprus. He was elected Grand Master of the Templars approximately 1298. Summoned to France by Pope Clement V to discuss a new crusade, Molay asked the Pope to instigate or investigate spurious accusations against the order. On October 13th of 1307, all the Templars in France, including Molay, so at 1307, not 1308, were arrested and interrogated by command of Philip IV. Hello, Brother Courtney. Goodbye, Dad. I love you. Thank you for being here. Who is intent on crushing the order and seizing its wealth. On October 24th, 1307, Molay, probably under torture, confessed some of the charges brought against the Knights Templar were true, but he rejected many of the other charges. He wrote to the Templars throughout France enjoining confession, but when the Pope sent his own delegates to conduct inquiries, Molay and many of his subjects retracted their statements, saying they had been extracted or exacted by torture. In November 1309 and on March 1310, Molay appealed for personal judgment by the Pope. Clement decided to suppress the order, and on March 18th or 19th, 1314, a commission of 3 cardinals condemned Molay and other dignitaries of the order for perpetual imprisonment. Upon hearing his sentence, he retracted his confession, and as a final punishment, he was burned at the stake as a relapsed heretic by Philip IV officers that same afternoon. If anybody is interested in joining de Molay, then let's see. I'm going to speak specifically for Canada. If you go to demolaycanada.ca/contact, they will provide you with an email form to fill out, providing your name, contact information. You can express your interest in joining there and perhaps finding the closest chapter to you. You can also contact them. Their main headquarters are in Edmonton, Alberta, 10318 100 Avenue Northwest. But again, demolaycanada.ca/contacts. That is the best way to get in touch. Perhaps you're interested in joining. They also have a newsletter. You can subscribe to the newsletter on their website. I'd recommend you do so as well. Let me see if I can get the membership information. Again, we're focusing on Canada, but I believe it's very similar across the United States. Hello, Beyond Ether. If you want to join the de Molay, you can join as a squire. which DMLA Squires is an organization providing boys ages 9 to 11 an opportunity to be a part of and support DMLA through collaborative efforts and plan its own programs and activities. It was established in 1995. It's a program for boys ages 9 to 11, teaches important lessons about justice, truth, and wisdom while participating in a variety of fun events and developing lasting friendships. It is a great starting point for any youth interested in becoming a DMLA at 12 years, interested in becoming a DMLA at 12 years of age, or who's just looking for something to get involved in. DMLA is for young boys ages 12 to 21. DMLA is a premier organization based on timeless principles committed to developing and inspiring leadership, team building, and networking for young men ages 12 to 21. The DMLA chapter program has been in existence for nearly 100 years, enriching the lives of young men by providing a fun-filled platform that unconsciously develops key life lessons such as public speaking, fundraising, and event planning. DMLA counts amongst its alumni a multitude of standout gentlemen who turned their experience in DMLA into the foundation of their professional careers. A select few are enshrined in the DMLA Hall of Fame. The DMLA journey begins with the chapter, each a unique experience built around the same high values and leadership opportunities that have set DMLA apart since its inception. We've talked before about DMLA itself, the history of it, its foundation in the States, its arrival in Canada through Winnipeg. Go Winnipeg. I would recommend, if you are a Freemason or if you're not, but you know of any young boys looking for something that will encourage positive role models, positive experiences, and being a positive citizen and a good citizen of the country, as well as lifelong learning and growth, check out DMLA. You don't have to, by any means, join DMLA with the expectation that you will become a Freemason or that the child or the DMLA will become a Freemason. You don't have to have any Masonic connections in your family to become DMLA either. So if you, again, live in Canada, DMLA Canada, look it up online. A great organization, well worth celebrating. And like I noted before, yesterday, March 18th, was considered Founders Day, the founding of DMLA. It was founded by Frank S. Land, otherwise known as Dad Land, in Missouri. Well, I appreciate that, Big C, but you should probably find a better role model than me. I mean, Courtney, it's one of those things. Maybe everything works out the way it's supposed to, right? So maybe you weren't supposed to. Maybe you're supposed to do different things as a kid. Either way, though, right? You can't really go back in time and change anything. So just focus on your current Masonic journey and focus on being the most successful within that journey that you can be. Right, but DMLA has existed for over 100 years, since 1919. So 107 years, I suppose. 35 votes. Interesting. No Point is jumping up significantly higher. It's at 60% now. So that's very good. And with that, we are back to just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I will leave the DMLA Canada, hold on just 1 second, the DMLA Canada website in the chat. Copy and paste it, check it out. There's also, again, as I've noted, DMLA in the States. Different states have different DMLA orders. I don't believe it's national. Let me try this one more time. Yeah, DMLAcanada.ca, all one word. And we can all expect March 28th. I'm going to start streaming at 2 p.m. I'm going to start by watching the long walk. So I hope you guys will join me for that. And then we're just going to go from there. Maybe I'll do a whole bunch of different movies, all of which I think have Masonic lessons that we can apply for, or we can apply to our Masonic career and our Masonic journey. Um, might be a lot of fun. So, Courtney, I am still wrestling. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I am still wrestling. I've been wrestling I got some wrestling coming up, I do believe. I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm very excited. Um, March 27th, 28th. It's going to be a busy few days, that's for sure. I've got the wrestling, I've got the community services fair, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I know also that it is WrestleMania time coming up soon. When is WrestleMania this year? Let's see. In Vegas again. I was in Vegas once. I loved it. It was really fun. WrestleMania April 18th and April. So basically 1 month away. 1 month away. Um, I really loved Vegas, but it is an expensive town. But there's going to be a lot of independent wrestling shows happening in Vegas as well. So don't forget about that. And if you get the chance, check it out. Um, Not just, I mean, obviously, if you're going to go there for WrestleMania, great. But if you're not, if it's too expensive, but you happen to be in Vegas, or you want to go for something less expensive, but it's still going to be incredible, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is holding some shows there. Hold on just 1 second. Let me see if I can find the info. Let me see. So there's Global Wars happening here in Canada, Friday, March 27th and Saturday, March 28th. There's MLP Multiverse happening at the Palms Slam Fest, Friday, April 17th. It's going to be awesome to see. So. Are I still resting? So yeah, so Courtney though, how's it going with you? How you doing? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll hit the like button. You've not done so already. And everybody who's here, please don't forget March 28th, we are going to be rocking out and I can't wait for it, rocking out the Community Services Fair. It's going to be a blast. Mez, man, I mean, I'm hoping Armageddon is not on the way. I'm hoping that that is not the case. I understand there's a lot of concern right now, probably for a very valid reason. We'll see what happens, right? We're going to see what happens. I would say, I think instead of being terrified of Armageddon, we need to think about what can we do to prevent it. And I think the best way we can prevent Armageddon or the possibility of Armageddon is ultimately by focusing on how we can spread and promote brotherly love in our communities, in our cities, and around the world. At least that would be my main hope. We'll see. Did you answer the question, Mezman? And if so, what did you answer it with? What did you say? But I definitely hope we don't roll on the end of the world. We're just going to be back to hanging out, waiting to take anybody's questions. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. And we're just going to wait to see who jumps on. And I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, March 28th, 2026. So about a week away, we are going to be holding a community services fair from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Cannot wait to attend, or can't wait to put it on. I hope you guys will join. Free admission. If you live in Windsor, Essex, anywhere around this area, join us. Even if you live in Detroit, it'll be really fun to check out. It'll be really fun to join. Um, you learn about the services, the civic and civil services, the Masonic services that are available in our communities, and also maybe get some ideas on events that you can hold. Also, so that's coming up March 28th. March 21st, I'm going to be doing a special stream starting at 2 p.m. We're going to be watching The Long Walk together. It's a very important movie. I think there's a lot of Masonic lessons within this movie. And in the process of that, we're going to see about doing a bit of a content marathon, or at least a YouTube marathon. So that will be very fun. The equinox is March 20th, right? So happy equinox indeed. And forgive me for missing it, but as of today, or one day late, but happy Founders Day to Demolay, founded by Frank Land in Missouri, came to Canada through Winnipeg. So I think that's really cool. Also, I'm going to wish everybody who is of the Muslim or Islamic faith, let's see. Today is the end of Ramadan, I believe. Windsor Police Services. This evening, the Muslim community celebrates the beginning of Eid al-Fitr. I hope I pronounced that correctly, which marks the end of Ramadan. We wish an Eid Mubarak to all those observing this special holiday. Freemasonry has many different faiths, including of the Muslim faith. So with that in mind, happy or Eid Mubarak to all who will be celebrating it. And we wish you an excellent day. I hope that your Ramadan was peaceful and reflective. Yeah, no, I think it's important that we as Freemasons do our best to remember we have members of many different faiths, many different beliefs, many different backgrounds, and as much as possible, we should do our best to celebrate and support all of them, be they Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, as well as not specifically religious holidays, but like ethnic or ethnic. So, for example, there's Chinese New Year's, there's different Independence Days for different groups within and throughout the world. I think we should try to celebrate them all as much as we possibly can. I think that's, generally speaking, a very good thing to do, a very kind thing to do. And yes, tomorrow is the equinox as well. So, I mean, I've talked about it a few times on this stream, the connections that Freemasonry has with the Muslim world, with the Islamic world. There are a lot. There are many Muslim Freemasons, all of whom are wonderful parts of the craft. So yeah, might be worth exploring again tomorrow a little bit. We shall see. Or I could talk about Freemasonry and the equinox, which could be kind of fun to discuss as well. So Rhonda, are you celebrating, I guess, observing Ramadan, celebrating Eid al-Fitr? And I'll also mention I've talked a million times about how much I love Chicago and specifically the northern Chicago suburb of Glenview, Illinois. I think it's my favorite city and my favorite place in the world. So I do want to take a few moments to mention Illinois' ninth congressional district, um, which basically all of Glenview is in that district. They just had a election. I understand the winning candidate is, or they just had a Democratic primary. I understand it is, Biss was the name. Let me just double check. I don't know much about him, but I will say I wish him all the best if he's successful in representing an excellent and wonderful city and wonderful community. My ninth district. Democratic primary results. Daniel Biss, yes, he did win. Democratic primary for closely watched, this is according to NPR. For closely watched Illinois House seat. I don't know when the election for this seat is, but he won the primary. So it's an incredible community. It's an incredible town. It's an incredible area. In so much that I'm getting my kids some gifts, but I'm having a quieter Eid this year. So is it typical to get gifts for Eid? I did not know that. I did not know that the giving of gifts was part of Eid celebrations. Okay, that's cool. Are there any like traditional gifts that you would give for Eid, or is it um is it kind of like Christmas in that you kind of can give whatever you want, or are there specific traditional gifts or even traditional foods to break the fast? Because the biggest thing about Eid, right, is you're breaking the fast from Ramadan, if I recall correctly. I guess the current representative for the ninth district is Jan Schikowski. All right. Russell Stover has the best chocolate bars in Texas. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind. I mean, I'd like to get back to Texas at some point, so. And Rondo, would you say that there is you have a favorite gift for Eid or for Eid? And we're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. We talked about D Molay. We're just back to hanging out, waiting to discuss things. Anybody wants to jump in the chat, say hello. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? Let me know. Oh, nice. I've said it before, without question. You guys have the best food in Texas. And thank you, Sarah. 279, much appreciated. How's it going with you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. And hugs to you as well. Um, I hope everybody is doing well. We're just hanging out. We're back to just waiting to see. We talked about DMLA. I'm going to leave some questions about DMLA on the channel very soon. Some quizzes. I really enjoy putting up quizzes. I find they're a great way to teach people about Masonic history. So I hope you guys will check some of them out. But for the meantime, please hit that like button and please hit that subscribe button. Share this stream. Follow me on social media. We'll be producing a lot of really cool content. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. tonight also. And I look forward to seeing all of you there. Is there a point at which gas prices become so high you will not pay Masonic dues? I should have said Masonic expenses. What's interesting is no point is at 61%, whereas 3 to 5 and 5 and up each have 16%. So, oops. There it is. And yours truly, I really appreciate you saying that. That's, absolutely what I'm referring to. That's why, looking back, I shouldn't have used the term dues. I should have used the term expensive. Like I've said a million times, you cannot separate, right? You just cannot separate the condition of the community in which you live from the conditions of Freemasonry. And that includes economic and energy costs. Like, yeah, normally on different times when gas has not increased by 90 cents per gallon since February 28th, maybe you would take that 3-hour trip for the funeral. Are you really going to do it now that gas is 90 cents increased and is still going up on average, right? $100 a day. That's money you can't spend on food. You can't spend on rent. You can't spend on housing. You can't spend on anything else you need. So, yeah, unfortunately, I do think, when Freemasonry is already in a precarious position, as the costs of living go up, you're going to see people having to make those decisions. So that's a great example of what I'm talking about, yours truly. Norman Paul says normally. Hello, Light Free. Normally what? And it's not just that. Airplane costs are up, I think, an average of 30% is what I've heard. Right? At what point does, for example, the cost of bus tickets go up, the cost of transit goes up. How's it going? No Filter? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Light free. I'd be hesitant about that. What don't you need, right? But that's kind of the question. At what point does Freemasonry become something you don't need? And that's the problem, right? For Freemasonry, because technically, like you can define what is necessary and what is not necessary to be like you need housing and you need food. At what point do other things start to get pushed away? At what point do you feel like maybe I don't need as much health care as before? Maybe I don't need these medications. Maybe I don't need civic engagement. Maybe I don't need civic work. Like you end up in this, shall we say, challenging situation. And so I think we need to be incredibly careful about this idea of what is necessary. I would argue art is necessary and being able to pay for art is necessary, even though we don't, it's tough to say. But definitely a lot of it's going to come down to this idea of what are we willing to pay for and not pay for if costs continue to go up. At what point does Freemasonry become something we don't need? I don't know what Heaven's Gate is, but no, I don't want to be part of Heaven's Gate. But quitting fast food is probably not the worst idea, not just for people, but for their health in general. Um, Again, I'm one to talk. We're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Thank you all for being here. We're just going to wait, give it a bit more time, see who joins. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. We talked about Demolay. Congratulations, Demolay, on Founders Day. I'm enjoying it. As always, I love Assassin's Creed. It's an incredibly fun game. It's something I enjoy very much because I love the Masonic connections within the game. I've posted some videos of me playing it before, so yeah, and that's a decision, yours truly, that a lot of Masons are making. And at what point do many Masons have to start going to the lodge and requesting benevolence or requesting dues forgiveness? That affects the lodges as well, right? And I don't want to pretend like that is the most important people. Obviously, that is the most important thing is economic costs. It's not. The most important thing is the cost of life or the cost to our lives. And we need to be incredibly careful about not conflating the two. I'm willing, I'd rather spend $3 more a gallon on gas if it meant nobody died. However, we can't pretend like the current conflict, the war, pick your term, in the Middle East is not also having an economic effect on us here at home, and as a consequence of that, is not going to affect Freemasonry. If I recall correctly, the Assassins were partners with the Freemasons. Now, again, I'm not an expert on the games. Honestly, when I play them, I very often go and skip through the cutscenes, so I don't know for sure what the storyline is. But I think the Freemasons are the good guys in Assassin's Creed Part 3. Yeah, which is completely understandable, right? I do light free. I'm the worst about that. I skip the cutscenes because I enjoy just honestly when it comes to Assassin's Creed, the most fun part of it, without question, is just exploring all the different open worlds. I love the open world concept of it. So, what can I say? I love just riding around on horses, hunting, different animals, trading those for money, and then hunting more animals. I don't know. What can I say? That's something I really love doing. I feel like a lot of people play the games the same way I do, though. They just travel around hunting animals for fun, exploring the different worlds. What would you say, Light Free, is your favorite video game for the story? I'm just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who jumps in the chat. I'll be ending this stream soon, but I will be back tonight at 1 a.m. I'm going to be posting some stuff on social media as well, so be prepared for that. I really love the bird watching. That is really, maybe I'll do some posts of me doing some bird watching because I enjoy it as well quite a bit. So that could be a lot of fun. Do you have a favorite type of bird, Courtney, or do you ever post pictures of you bird watching on social media? Because if so, that'd be really cool to see. A good friend of mine, he's been on the channel before. He enjoys bird watching quite a bit. Um, The Last of Us. Okay, that is. I have that, but I've never played it. It's just sitting there. I feel like I should because I love scary things. I love zombies in video games. Like Resident Evil was awesome. So you'd think I would have enjoyed that game very much. Well, let's hope you don't have to be in poop before you fly. Let's hope you learn to fly before you're in poop. But hey, what do I know? Um, Suffering is compassion. I don't know about that, Sarah, but that sounds suspiciously like something from a Hellraiser film. My favorite bird is the blue jay. All right, I think for me, my favorite bird would probably be like a falcon, something like that. Sorry, Sarah, you're from. Nice. I'm from Windsor. Well, I'm from Winnipeg, born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Which, I've always said it. I'll say it again. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because you have the greatest neighbors in the world. A double-headed falcon, you are. Is that a positive thing? What's a double-headed falcon? I'm going to treat that as a compliment for the time being. Yours truly, Todd, is going with the eagle. Well, Sarah, if you want to come down one day early on the 28th of March between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., we are hosting a community services fair at the Windsor Masonic Temple. It's free admission. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you. Um, it's free admission. It's the day before, but it is first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So, but watch the cutscenes. I mean, I know I should. So I promise you, if I play The Last of Us, I will watch the cutscenes. So it's at the Windsor Masonic Temple, 986 Gillette Avenue. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a bazaar, but we're not really selling anything. Rather, it's different groups and agencies and organizations will be setting up tables, will be setting up displays with information about the services they provide to the public and to the community. And you can learn more about them. So it should be a lot of fun. He is focusing his energy for the next Masonic summons. We have Masonic summons, but we're not summoning entities. Rather, we are sending out a document or a summons inviting brethren or reminding brethren of the next meeting that we have. Um, Locker, wink, wink. There are no Masonic summonings for the record. Many people have this tendency to, conspiracy theories will say stuff. When I talk about a Masonic summons, I'm simply talking about a document. It's sometimes referred to as a trestle board in American lodges that is meant to act as an invitation for it's a summoning, it's a reminder to brethren, hey, we have this meeting coming up, please attend if you can, is kind of the goal of it, or the goal behind it. Although, Freemasonry can be energy draining without question. It takes more work than people realize. So, we are just going to hang it a bit longer, wait to see who joins. Please take a moment and subscribe. Mark your calendars for March 21st. Check out some of the social media stuff. I'll be posting very soon as well. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I've found in the States, when I talk about a summons, they more often refer to a trestle board, but it does kind of serves the same function, right? Either way, think about it as you are being summoned to the next meeting. If you're a Freemason, and hopefully you will be able to attend. We need to keep in mind that being a Freemason, you don't have to be showing up, I suppose, but not showing up to lodge meetings, it really does harm the lodge. So it's incredibly important. And once again, I think the reason why the word summons is used and not simply invitation is because of how incredibly important it is for us within Freemasonry to attend as much as we possibly can, in my humble opinion. We have yours truly, Todd. I mean, many lodges are in the same boat. You're not alone in that. And it's hard. There is no simple solution to it. Many lodges are struggling with poor attendance. Where in Illinois are you? What part of Illinois are you finding yourself in? But I mean, I've talked in the past about how we in Freemasonry can try to grow our membership numbers. Sorry, not our membership numbers, but our attendance, because a lot of the talk of Freemasonry right now is focused on, at least in my experience, is focused on getting more members, which is a worthwhile goal. But I think, in a lot of ways, the more important goal needs to be not so much on getting more members, but on ensuring that the membership that we have is showing up. I'd rather have a lodge of, 50 members where 35 are showing up, I think is better than a lodge of, let's say, 500 members where 50 are showing up. So that would be my humble opinion on that. Bloomington, Normal, Twin Cities. See, for me, Illinois, I mostly think of Bloomington. I mostly think of that, Chicago, Glenview, that's where I spend all my time. So, looks like you guys are in central Illinois, population of 167,000. I actually wrote a paper about this. Yours truly, do you follow any of the stuff I produce on Medium? It's written content about Freemasonry. Because I've talked about some ideas I have for growing lodge attendance. Seeing if I can find it on maps, how far it is from Chicago. Well, if you want to check it out, follow me on Medium. I'll leave the link. Just give me one sec. Maybe 2.5. Okay. Would you say the majority of your membership lives in Bloomington Normal, or do you have people coming in from the county or from out of your city area? So it's medium.com/@Adamson Cameron. I have a paper about gamification, which I would encourage you to check out. Yeah, you're like right in the middle, right by Peoria, basically. So you're as in the middle of the state as you can get. So it's medium.com/@Adamson_Cameron. The title of the paper to look at is It's More Than a Game. If you want, also, you can contact me by going to, um, see if I can find it now, squareandcompass.ca. I'm going to the contact page and contact me there. Winter out here is finishing, hopefully. Or do you mean out in central Illinois? I mean, it gets cold in Chicago winters. I'm not sure how central Illinois would be. It's a little bit more south than Chicago, but probably not south enough to make a big difference. So yours truly, if you contact me through squareandcompass.ca and leave me your email address, I will email you a copy of that article as well to check out. Okay, so I wonder, do you think that that is an impediment to lodge attendance or a benefit? Because if you are a small town and most of your lodge members are members or are community members in that small town, the lodge is right there. If you are a traveler, like you travel into the town for lodge, might it be easier for you to find excuses? And as I talked about before, right, with gas prices going up, if most of your membership is not local, they cannot rely on things like public transit or carpools to get to the lodge. At what point do they decide it's not worth spending the money or taking the time to visit lodge? And also, yours truly, if you want to support me another way, um, you can go to patreon.com/square and compass and you can become a free Patreon member. Patreon.com/square and compass. All different ways to help a brother out. And we have 3 lodges, 2 in Bloomington and 1 in Normal. Okay, I mean, when you have, I think it was 180,000, if I recall correctly, was the population size. Let me see if I can. 167,000. So basically 170,000 within the area. 3 lodges is actually quite a bit. I mean, for context, there are 235,000 people in Windsor, Ontario, where I live, and we have 7 Masonic lodges, and that's probably an aberration. So I would think 170. 3 seems like a fair number. A fairly bigger number than I would think. Well, maybe not. Again, when I go back and I consider 7 lodges for a city of 230,000, maybe it works out about the same. Okay, so 4, because Prince Hall would count. You guys have recognition. Okay, so I mean a decent number of lodges based on the population size. Um, Again, that's going to Google AI, so you need to take that with a grain of salt. But it looks like Wikipedia is reporting about the same numbers. Looks like a really cool place. I'd love to visit it. I'm assuming there's a train or even a bus that comes from Chicago to there. Maybe one day I'll get to visit your lodge. It'd be really fun and really cool. All right, I'm going to be ending soon. Amtrak. I love the Amtrak. Though I will say that Amtrak is always late. At least the one going from going from Detroit to Chicago. All right, I'm going to be taking off for now. Well, I will take it, Sarah. Most people say I'm ugly. I'm going to be ending this stream for now. I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. Be prepared for the March 21st marathon as well, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'll be posting more about that, and stay tuned. I'm going to be posting about I'm going to be posting on social media very shortly. All right, talk to you guys later. Thank you all so much for being here. Yours truly, take care as well, and thank you so much for your information. It was really helpful, and I think it really goes to demonstrate and point out what I was talking about. The cost of gas affects Freemasonry. The cost of living affects Freemasonry.